So let's talk.
Let's talk. In victory we win. In victory we win.
Hey guys, it's your girl LaToya Renee, and you're tuning into Sister Can We Talk. This show is an empowerment show that allows us to share testimonies, to uplift our spirits, and to motivate and encourage us to believe in the impossible. Today, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest in the studio today. Her name is Lady Shironda Jones. Yay! Hey girl, hey girl. Looking fabulous. I see ya. Thank you, honey. Thank you so much for being on the show this morning. I love it. Yes.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes, she is a celebrity here in Florida. Okay.
Listen, there you go.
I'm just so excited that you're here and to able to tell your testimony to inspire the women out there that is going through the same thing that you went through.
Yes.
And so tell us about your testimony. Tell us about your journey, because you're not even from Jacksonville. You're from Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yes.
Old Cleveland.
Old Cleveland. Yes. So tell us about your testimony.
Oh my God. So born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, native, lived in the city for the most part. Grew up in the East Cleveland area, and then eventually moved to the Cleveland area. Graduated from Collinwood High School.
Okay.
So was raised by a single parent. My father was in my life. However, he was, kind of distant. He raised me in the house, but kind of out the house.
Right.
So, but for the most part, I was raised by my mom. Have one sibling, Tiffany, and we were really different. My sister and I.
How so?
My sister was kind of, streets, Me, I was more book smart and whatnot. She used to always say that you're a black girl trapped in you're a white girl trapped in a black girl's body.
Jesus!
Yes.
So you was bougie.
I guess. But she would always say that to me, and I didn't understand why. But I did understand the distinctions between she and I. I was more driven, a dreamer.
Yes.
I would speak things out of my mouth that would appear to be just really outrageous to my family and whatnot. But this is what God was showing me. This is who I am and whatnot. So. Went to college, eventually graduated high school, went to college. Again, I'm raised by a single parent. Yeah. My father is in my life, but he's not really helping to mold and shape me into the woman that I need to be. Like, a woman's first love is her father. And so you need those affirmations and things, spoken into your life so you would understand and know who you are. Right. So I really didn't have that. So therefore, because I didn't have that, you go seeking it elsewhere. And so that's what I found myself doing at a very young age. Just relationship after relationship, just looking for love and affirmation and things of that nature. And so was on that trajectory for a long time. I really was, until something just clicked and said, this is not what you want. Again, book smart, in college, trying to pursue my degree. But there were still some things that were missing. So fast forward to age 25, I birthed this amazing kid named Jalen DeMar. So, and that's my heart, that's my baby. And it's just something about when you have children, it definitely alters your life completely.
In your mindset.
Yes, it does. And so it's like, okay, I cannot continue down this path of destruction. I have to be a better woman, be a better mother for this young man that I'm getting ready to raise. Now, I had, a relationship with his dad who was actually from the South. So I leave Cleveland just for a little bit. And moved to Montgomery, Alabama to get pregnant.
And moved back.
I literally was there for 1 month. and came back pregnant. So things didn't work out, you know, with Jalen's dad, obviously. He was a little bit older than I am.
So when you moved back, he was still in Alabama?
Yes.
Okay.
He didn't even know that I wasn't coming back. I literally was supposed to be coming home to visit family and to go back to Alabama. And I was like, this ain't gonna work.
I don't like y'all like that.
So then I'm raising Jalen, you know, alone. Again, I'm a single parent, but again, I want to do what's best for him. And so
was your mom kind of like your model, because your mom kind of sort of raised you guys alone? So was she kind of like your model as far as you being the parent?
Yes and no. Again, I knew I had to do what I had to do.
Right.
And of course, she was the only template that I had at that time.
Right.
But I'm very big on mentorship and just, you know, looking up to others and stuff to see if there's a better way to approach things.
Right.
And so I had to do what I had to do. So with Jalen, at the time when I was pregnant with him, I was only working part-time. So of course, before he was born, I had to move into a full-time position, reestablish myself, get us an apartment, take care of us. And so Jalen was my constant motivation to be better.
Ooh, yeah.
And so again, very ambitious. I was still in college when I was pregnant with him. I was attending Akron University at that time.
So you was in college?
Yes.
Having a job and then being pregnant on
a
child.
So Akron, Ohio is a little, about 40 miles outside of Cleveland.
Yeah.
So once I got so far in my pregnancy, I could no longer commute. So I decided to come home, give birth to him, sit down for a little bit, and then I would go back to school. So then that's when I transferred to Cleveland State University. And still motivated, but something was still missing. It's like I had this baby, but I still want relationship. I want companionship. So how do I work this into the equation? And so started dating a little bit or whatever, but it still wasn't hitting on anything. So then, of course, God has always been the source. But of course, when you're that young, you really don't see it at that moment.
Right.
And so I start, you know, just hitting some hard times or whatever, to the point that he was the only one that I could run to. And so that's when the Word Church came into my life.
How old was you?
I was, at that moment, I was maybe 27. Jalen was, 26. Jalen was 1 year old at that point. So I'm listening to the Word Church on the radio. And this man of God is like preaching directly to me. I mean, the titles were just crazy.
On point.
I can't stand myself. I'm like, wait, he is on my porch right now. And so I listened to him regularly. I mean, so much so on my lunch breaks. I would like tune in and I would have my notepad out writing. I said, I gotta go visit this church. And when I visited, when I tell you that the Holy Spirit was so thick in the room that you couldn't help but to be convicted on some things. You just couldn't. I mean, just Dr. Vernon was that type of pastor that he didn't pull no punches. He really didn't. He spoke directly to the issue. And so every week it seemed like it was my issue. And so I'm like purging and I'm crying. I'm like, oh God. So before long, I end up joining. And when I say it was so revolutionary for me, I began to see my life shape. Now, of course, it takes time. So, but you just continue to, you know, if you're a willing vessel, I mean, God will do the rest. And so
are you saying that in that moment you started seeing your life change?
Yes. The things that I was hungry and thirsty for, it was so irrelevant. It was so beyond me at that point, because I was so determined to get my life together for this child that I have to raise on my own. So things that would take or pull the energy from me, or negative energy, I had to like toss those things to the side and say, hey, it's time for you to, you know, level up. It's time for you to come up a little higher. And again, it's not something that happens instantly. It's a process. So I was willing to yield to the process.
Come on, Jesus.
Because I knew I wanted something better. And so, again, I've been a member of the Word Church for almost 21 years. My baby will be 21 next Saturday. And I've been a member of the Word Church for almost 20 years. And I mean, and my life has never been the same. But I think what really was the hay that broke the camel's back was my mentor, Dr. Shardine Simpson. She taught this series called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's an amazing read. I definitely encourage you to get that book. It's by Peter Scazzero, and it's a series of books. So you have the Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, you have the Emotionally Healthy Spiritual Woman.
Yes.
It's maybe 4 books that, you know, I think every woman should add to their library.
Right.
But she began to teach, and so I think the thematic thrust of that book was, how can you be spiritually mature while remaining emotionally immature?
Ooh, Jesus! Woo!
When I
she
say
on the porch again.
Yes. When I say that thing hit me like a ton of bricks, she taught this series for 5 weeks. So it was different topics that, I mean, really would just resonate and hit home to the point where I'm crying out every single, I didn't care who was around me, who saw me.
Right.
I mean, I'm hyperventilating crying. It's that serious.
Right.
And so, I mean, she would, one of the chapters talked about this wall and how you got to continue to face this wall until God releases you from the wall. And so I think the release from the wall is when you got peace and that thing no longer bothers you anymore.
Yes.
And then, but when you still see that you still struggling, it's like, okay, back to the wall. And then sometimes you got to crawl to the wall. Sometimes you got to leap to the wall. You got to run to the wall. But I just got tired of hitting these continuous walls in my life. And it's like, you know, we have to get to a place where we're willing to deal with our stuff. It ain't going nowhere. It's not going nowhere. We have to address the issues and the matters of our heart. We have to deal with that stuff. And it's not just a 1, 2, 3 session. It's a continuous, and I tell everyone, just like you have your nail tech, your hairstylist, whatever, you need to have a therapist in your Rolodex to help you deal with the issues that are going on in your life.
You're the second person or the second guest that really tell people about being in therapy.
Yes.
I think for us as Black women or the Black culture, having a therapist is so taboo, or it's like, I can just go to church. No, you really need someone who actually studied this thing to kind of be able to help you dig stuff out, because you are dealing with problems that have you been, generational stuff you kind of been born with, and stuff that you have actually been in your environment. So you need someone professionally to help dig this out. And it's like, you know, I'm glad that you're saying that, hello, it's okay if you need therapy.
Yes, and it's like the spiritual aspect, that's great. You're going to always need that. That's like number one. But you also need those pragmatic and practical tools to use to help you deal with the stuff. And that God places those abilities and talents inside of the doctors, inside of the therapists, to help you pick those things apart. So when I understood, you know, the concept of counseling and therapy, then I began to see, you know, weight lifted off of my shoulders. You know, and so that right there, I am a advocate for emotional wellness. I mean, it's too many young, beautiful women and men too that are like committing suicide and they feel like there is no hope when there is, when all they need is somebody to talk to.
It's funny because the suicide rate since COVID has been going up. And you see people that, you know, on social media and stuff, and you be like, and one day they, he died from suicide, and you be like, what happened? It's like we put on this front for people in social media, and no one is really asking those questions like, how are you? And that just, you know, in the morning you say, good morning, how are you? No, let's stop. No, really, how are you? And I think we need to get to a point where we ask those questions and we kind of be open to people.
And then just being kind to people, because you just never know what someone is going through. And so I try my very best to be kind to anyone that I come in contact, especially, you know, in this position that I'm in now. That's one thing that I saw with Lady Vernon. She modeled just grace and just being kind to people all the time. I've never seen her come out of her hookup with anybody. She was always kind, because you just never know when someone's getting ready to go over the edge. You just never know that. So again, emotional wellness was a really big thing for me. I had endured a lot.
Right.
I think I shared with you before that I was married before.
Yes.
But my first husband passed away to diabetes that I didn't even know he had.
Right.
So that was traumatic for me. It was not just traumatic for me, but it was traumatic for Jalen.
Yes.
So then fast forward 3 years after that, I lose my father.
Right.
I'm my father's only daughter.
Right.
He still fathered my sister and claimed her, but in terms of biology,
right.
I was his only child.
Yeah.
So of course I got these two major experiences over a 3-year span. It's like, okay, but guess what? Still therapy.
I was going to say.
I still got a deal. That's
Right.
still trauma.
Right.
That's still grief that I
Right.
still have to pick apart. There are also other, resources that I really took advantage of, like grief recovery. So it's a 12-week class that you can only miss one class before you have to repeat the whole class over. So I took grief recovery, and so those tools and resources I continue to use to kind of help me navigate.
Right.
So of course, going through that trauma, I get to this point where I'm like, okay, God, I done been through enough.
Right.
Can you do something for me?
Yes.
So I remember traveling home from work one day, getting on the expressway because I lived like an hour from downtown Cleveland.
Right.
I said, God, can you do these 3 things for me? I said, can you give me sunshine, palm trees, warm weather all year round?
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of like out the box, like so random. But that's what listen.
Right.
I believe in the power of prayer.
Yeah.
I believe in being specific with God. He know what I want anyway, so I might as well just further communicate what I need just to make sure you hear me, Lord.
Right.
So, and literally 90 days after that, I saw God really move in a way that I was not expecting him to move. Wasn't thinking about marriage, wasn't thinking about just, I knew I wanted to move to a warmer climate. But then I get this unexpected DM. Yes, this is my story and I'm sticking to it.
Right.
I get this unexpected DM from Pastor Ardell Jones.
Oh, wow.
So I get this unexpected inbox from him through social media. Now, I've been knowing Pastor Ardell for maybe 11 years.
Because of the conferences and stuff.
Yes, because of the conference. So Dr. Vernon would do this conference every year called the Gathering of the Shepherds. This was my baby. So just go back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I end up working for Dr. Vernon for about 10 years. So of course the transition of who I am led to employment so I could be further mentored and coached into what I didn't even know God was getting ready to take me to.
You didn't even know, honey.
Yes, I had no idea that this was part of the process.
Your training.
I did my training camp, and so even my relationship with Dr. Vernon, just to give a little context to that, I didn't even want to work for him. I thought it was really like working for Diddy. I ain't gonna even lie. I ain't gonna even lie. I thought it was like working for Diddy. He was so hard on me, but I knew it was for a reason. I just didn't know. I just was like, dang, it just seemed like he's picking on me and I ain't doing nothing right. But then one day I had this interesting conversation with Lady Vernon, and she said he is an alpha male. She said don't ever cry in front of him. She said you got to put your big girl drawers on. You got to get in there. And so I took what she said and I said, okay, God, all right, I'm gonna work this. I'm about to get it. And I went to work. I put my big girl drawers on. I cried still. But I never cried in front of him. I said, okay, God, I need you to help me help him. So what we gonna do? What we gonna do? And before I knew it, I began to master the position. I began to master him. To this day, I can go into his office and run his office as if I've been there, the whole time because I know him so well. But didn't know that God was literally setting me up for my next. I never knew that. So again, I beat Pastor Ardell years later, whatever. He reaches out to me. He's like, good morning. I'm like, good morning, man of God. Good morning. And that was it. Because I was taught, you don't be so common or comfortable with the pastors and first ladies. I never wanted to look bad to Dr. and Lady Vernon in any way.
That was part of your training.
Yes. So I was very careful on how I communicated with him. So then he comes back, happy birthday. Thank you, man of God. So then, he comes back again and he's like, I think I got a crush on you. I'm like, crush?
Wait a minute. Go back.
Yes.
So you went to good morning.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Look, man, I got a crush on you.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I literally typed like, what
Question
you
mark,
mean?
question mark.
Yes.
Yes.
And he said in his mind he thought it was rejection all over again, but it wasn't. It was like, you just never know who's watching you.
Right.
And I even tell my son and our girls, be careful what you post.
Right.
Because sometimes that's the only perception.
Right.
That's the only marketing tool
Right.
that you have of yourself before they look at even employers.
I was going to say employees before they they're going to find you on social media and you looking kind of suspicious and stuff. You might not get that call.
Oh yeah,
back.
you're going to lose a lot of opportunities based off your content on your social media page and whatnot. And so I never posted being in a relationship with someone or posting. It was always positivity, my son, myself, or whatever. So I said, you just never know who's watching you. So then I proceed to ask him, wait a minute, aren't you married? Because I don't want any of that energy.
I don't want
at
no
all.
trouble.
And so he said, he respected me for saying that. So anyway, that conversation, that inbox conversation, happened literally all that day. Yeah. And to the point where it was time for me to get off work. So I was like, okay, well, let's talk. I got to drive home for a while, so let's talk. Yeah. And so the short of it is that conversation just led to a beautiful relationship. I mean,
you said 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days after I asked. Yeah, it's like, don't stop asking. Right. Keep asking. Yes. Be specific in your prayer, because you just never know what God is going to do or what He's doing in the midst of it, behind the scenes.
You asked for what? Palm trees,
sunshine, warm weather, all round. Yes, sure did. Yeah. And so that conversation eventually materialized into a wonderful long distance relationship. I mean, so much so that he would really come visit me. It seemed like every 2 weeks or every month. There was not really real gaps.
Tell them about the dates you guys went on.
Oh my gosh. The dates. We would go on virtual dates.
Yes.
We would go on virtual dates. I'm sorry, I got this little hair somewhere. But we would go on virtual dates. I would say, okay, find a restaurant that I probably have. I mean, it was something just really small, like an Applebee's or something, or Ruby Tuesday, something like that. Nothing really major. And we would meet each other there. I would prop my cell phone up.
Lord.
And he would order my food. I would give my phone to the waitress. Yes. He would order, and then he would cash at me the money to pay for it. And so those were little virtual dates that we went on. And it was cool. It was different.
I was going to say, how romantic is that? Yes. You guys need to write a book. You hear me, Ardell, out there, Pastor Ardell? Write a book.
We keep saying that we're going to write this book. Yes.
Because I mean, you hear about social media and people find it, but the way you guys came together, it's such a beautiful love story. You know what I'm saying? And so it gives hope to those women out there who are single parents and thinking that they can never find anybody. You didn't even ask for a husband. No. What you said was palm trees, warm weather, and what else?
And sunshine.
And sunshine.
All year round.
Look, and you got it. Yes. You here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes. But I truly believe that it's the waiting period. It's what are you doing in the waiting period?
Yes.
What's your posture in the waiting period? My posture was prayer. My posture was devotion. My posture was mentorship, getting up under someone who has a successful marriage and relationship and saying, okay, I that's what I want right there. That's what I need. I needed a man of God, a man of integrity in my life that could help mold and shape me, and that I can continue on my path. So that's exactly what I needed. And when I say that God came through, He really came through.
Out of nowhere.
I would have never thought. And it's like I had been following him for years. And I was like, this man love to eat. His page is just full of food. And then one time he was in Cleveland. And he was looking for a place to get some soul food. And I was like, oh, okay, Zanzibar and Shaker Square, and I sent that to him and just went on about my business. Not even realizing that he was watching. He had been watching me for a few years. And so much so that he had to go to Dr. Vernon to ask for permission. Because remember, I lost my biological father. Right. So Dr. Vernon is my spiritual father. Right. So now I lean on him towards those fatherly, those decisions that a father needs to make.
Yeah.
And so, like, before we really got deep into our relationship, I said, you have to tell him. I said, I don't want it to be a situation where, you know, he feels like I ever tried anything, I ever hit on you.
Right.
Or any of that. So you have to tell him. And he'll tell you that was one of the hardest conversations he had to have with him.
Yeah.
But one thing that I appreciated about Dr. Vernon is he knew me. He knew my heart. He's walked with me through some of the toughest times in my life. I mean, he's helped me raise my son.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
And so he shared with, you know, Pastor Ardell, he said, you know, out of all the women that you could have told me, I probably would have said no. But her, you work with somebody and she's been in my church this long, you pretty know someone. And so he gave his blessing. And I cried. I literally cried like a baby. I was so excited.
Yes. Because
I felt like that was the release for us
that you
know,
needed
to continue to pursue each other. And so March of 2019, we get this amazing proposal.
I was going to say, tell us about the proposal.
An amazing proposal at Magic Kingdom. Yes, Disney's Magic Kingdom. And he asked me to marry him, and of course I definitely said yes. Now let me tell you, I had to go through some hoops, you know, to get to that process. Like I said, you know, Everett and Tanya, you know, I had to kind of pass inspection first. But I understood. They wanted to make sure that my husband was making a right, you know, a good decision. He had really been through a lot, and I know he's going to share, you know, with you once he comes on the show, you know, at a later date. He's going to talk a lot about, you know, his depression and what he went through and the counseling that he had to go through to get to a place of stability today. Right. And so September 2019, we became husband and wife. It will be 3 years this September. Oh my God. But I mean, it has been a beautiful journey. It's been hard because of the cultural, you know, aspects of things. And I had to, you know, share with my husband. I said, this was more than just a physical move for me. I said, this was, you know, I completely left everything that I know that I love in Cleveland, a career, a church, my family, to come and be here with you because I believe that God has a plan. He has a sure enough plan, and although we can't see the full plan right now, we know that he's working something out behind the scenes, and that's why I say just trust God. Just trust God, trust the process. I promise it's going to be greater later. The manifestation of the blessing that he has in store is going to be so amazing.
I was just going to ask you just took my question away. I was going to say, what would you say to someone who can't see it right now? Who is that single parent? Who is struggling right now, but no, because you always knew that there was a call on your life. So what would you say to that person right now who knows there's a call on their life, but they can't see it? It's not physically, you know, tangible for them. What would you say for that person?
Well, you know what the word says. It says faith is. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that you cannot see. It may not be tangible. You may not be able to see it, but just know that God is for you. He's working things out behind the scenes. You just have to trust the process. My mentor, one of my mentors, she said, it's not our job to know the road or see the road. It's our job to stay on it. So my encouragement to the woman of God, to the man of God, or whatever, who's in a season of singleness and you're still hoping and praying that you're going to meet that, just stay on the road. I promise you, the end is going to be great. You remember that old song, I'm going to run on till I see what the end is going to be? Just keep running. Just keep trusting God. I mean, he has your best interest at heart. I'm so grateful for this move. This move has been so humbling for me. I mean, again, it's a culture shock. I mean, across the board, it really is. I mean, church, family, everything. It's been amazing.
I was going to say, I need to bring you back on the show at this time. They don't give me enough time, Jesus. Look, I am so honored and grateful that you came on the show today. You have given me life just to share your testimony, just to share your love story. OMG, I'm just grateful just to have you. Thank you so very much. Yes. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned a lot, that we can do all things if we include our faith in it. And so, look, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, remember to love, pray, and be that beacon of light for the world to see. Bye. Bye.
Let's talk in victory.